It is Wednesday, my dudes.
What is up, my gamers? It's time for another weekly dose of video game music and news. How is it going, Vector?
It's going great, Rick. I am doing okay. Just played a PS5 demo right before the show. Got another one for Super Robot Wars Y.
Ooh,
up.
Nice.
So I ought to be gaming after we get done here tonight.
Yes. I myself had a nice pinball league meeting. There's a lot of pinball still going around, always in my life, and got a little bit of fresh B-roll for tonight from Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
You're seeing it right now.
Yeah. And a little bit of the old Final Fantasy VII Rebirth getting through on my backlog when I'm not flying around in the Reach and Wildgate.
Ha! Yes, and I should be jumping into the Reach myself rather soon here with you.
Yeah, it was just on sale. It was on sale
On
for like
Steam.
$20 on Steam, yeah.
Yeah, on Steam. On PS5, it's still full price, but full price, $30, whatever. Like,
Yeah, still a great budget title.
yeah,
And,
great budget title.
Yeah, get on there and make some friends if you don't have any to play.
And like I said, we're going to show it right now. I played this little game right before the show. It is called Toa and the Sacred Tree. And now, Drix, here's the thing. This is one of those, this is a demo. You can get it right now on PS5. Play it for free. You get essentially one level, and it's one of those isometric roguelike types. You run around like Hades.
Yeah, a la Hades and the like.
And the main gimmick of this one, if you're watching on the screen, is you've got two characters as opposed to one single guy. So that's both. It's pretty unique because there's a couple of different ways you can control things. It is you could either have the character set to follow you all the time, or rogue love, or you could do it like an old game, The Adventures of Cookie and Cream, where each character can be controlled with their own respective analog stick.
Ooh, yeah, really splitting your cranium right down the middle too. Sounds interesting.
It is pretty interesting, and because the main gimmick of the game, how it works is essentially one guy is ranged, one guy is melee or a mage, and the melee has a Hazanshi and a Wakazashi, and when they got an Ikaruga thing going on, kind of, where one of them depletes, and then you have to switch weapons, and sometimes other enemies. Like you can get the roguelike element is you can get the buffs to either your caster or your melee. And sometimes your melee gives you buffs to like your Hazanshi or your Wakazashi, or gives you buffs to switching weapons, because switching weapons is also an attack. Like,
sounds like some real nice synergy there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Buzzword away.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on. And the characters are pretty cool, as you can see. Very detailed illustrations. Really cool, interesting character types, like a koi man and an origami mage. Really,
That's fun. That's one beefy looking koi fish.
yeah, right. He's like a koi monk. Like,
Sweet. Just animals with muscles that shouldn't have them.
exactly. And it's a very it is tough, like any good roguelike. But the one thing about this, Drix, is that, man, there is an entire other almost game to it in the form of swordcraft.
Ooh, crafting, you say?
Because right here, if you're watching on the screen, you have a multi-step minigame where you are folding the metal, you're smelting it into the form, you're pounding it into the blade. Right now, you're doing this the Tsuchioki, which is adding the ash finish on the bottom part of the blade. Like, you're doing the whole 9 yards when you're making your sword on this. And it is interesting because by the end of it, you might see it here on the B-roll, but by the end of it, sometimes your sword doesn't even look like what you ended up making. Like, this sword ends up gold.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, it reminds me of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I love a game where you can strike while the literal iron is hot.
Yes, and like I said, if you're watching right now, you can see, like, I went from putting the ash onto the sword, now I'm superheating it before I quench it into the fire.
Yeah, seems pretty authentic to a katana craftsmanship.
Yeah, it was pretty fun, and it was right there you see it became gold. So it was pretty fun. It was definitely an interesting take on this roguelike experience, especially like this is like your downtime, whereas like your uptime was you saw it running through the level, slicing, dicing, doing dual stick shenanigans, right?
Sweet.
So this again, Toa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree, pretty cool game, comes out next week, but it is $50. And I will say that at that price point, you definitely want to try the demo, because I have to admit, I didn't feel like there was a lot new going on in this one.
Yeah, not reforging the sword in any groundbreaking ways.
As it would seem, yes. And even though these things are fun, and it is pretty rewarding to get everything finished right here, and the gimmick is nice. The twin stick gimmick is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Of that now, dude.
I don't think it merits $50 when right around the corner we've got some new releases this week that you're gonna want to check out. You got new releases next week that you're definitely gonna want to check out. And then not just that, Drix, we've got new releases coming out throughout the entire the rest of the year almost.
Yeah, wow. So this might be a really, really great game, but yeah, it could get overshadowed like, anybody putting out music during Taylor Swift's album.
Right. Exactly. Or all the indie games moving their release dates to not go in the release at the same time or even around Hollow Knight Silksong.
Oh yeah, no, the game before the sequel, the original one's definitely hitting a surge of popularity right now. People definitely revisiting Hollow Knight now that they've announced the sequel. Big numbers. Big numbers. And you know what, Drix? We're gonna move right into the next order of business with that, because big numbers are exactly what indie games draw, as it were, right? Yeah, I mean, indie games, that's a lot of games, really. That's a lot of games, right? I could say the majority of the games coming out are indie. And Drix, here's the thing, right? Dave the Diver, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, not indie, right? Despite popular belief. Despite all big studios back those games, big publishers back those games. Baldur's Gate 3, indie game. Yeah. So published, developed by Larian Studios, indie game. Bit of a moving target, that word indie. Yeah, that word indie. And it's very interesting because as we just made the analogy, Baldur's Gate 3 to the, I guess, either average, to any kind of gamer. You could be the average gamer, you could be the hardcore gamer, you could be a new gamer. Baldur's Gate 3 looks like a top tier game, and it is. But it's absolutely an indie game. Whereas your game such as Dave the Diver or even Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, that they're backed by the Aspire group.
and they didn't just get that money out of nowhere. And Dave the Diver, that's a Nexon game.
Yeah, these weren't like crowdsourced per se.
Yeah, you know, and we're not saying, again, not saying that Baldur's Gate 3 was like crowdsourced or anything like that. Hell, even you could even argue Hollow Knight Silksong is way more of an indie game than either one of Dave the Diver or Expedition 33. But
yeah,
Drix, you make a really good point. It's a moving target. And I think that this post over on X by Cromwell, the one of the main guys over there at Larian, he has it pretty on the money right here. And I'll just read it out loud for everybody who isn't watching. Much of the industry has been aggressively data-driven for so long that over generations of talent, the ability, institutionally and or intellectually, to lead with your gut has become a lost art. This is why AAA is becoming perversely fascinated by indie. Indie doesn't have the data. They must rely on gut. Sometimes you see games that are doing a very specific thing in AAA, following their gut, their heart, but it's still confined to the institutional practice of parsing it all through available data. The data sets are all increasingly trash because they can't predict breakout hits nor predict failures. And so if you can't rely on data and you've lost the institutional quote-unquote gut instinct that drives the furor of expression, quote, defines a game, you get stuck. If public panic happens, becomes safe, which is dangerous. Hence, genres disappear until indies create breakout hits and introduce new data, perverse attachment, etc., etc. TLDR, it's because that the means to do something you want to have shrunk because of a bunch of silly shit. So, again, the Twitter X character limit striking hard here, but essentially, you cannot, it goes back to what Sven Vinke said at the Game Awards 2 years ago now. You cannot design by committee and expect something like Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, you got to have a creative and artistic vision to present, and sometimes the audience doesn't know what it wants. Then you just got to tell them, because they don't know what they like until you show them, and that's exactly what the data has shown. If you're just going off of what's happened in the past, you really got to connect some dots, connect those dots with your heart and soul too, not just what you perceive.
And that's not just, and you know what, this isn't like an isolated incident either. We over on the Sifted Games cast yesterday, Matt Kyle and Shane Satterfield were talking about Ninja Gaiden Ragebound and about how it is a great game for a cheap price. And Sega seems to get that people are spending more on Roblox and Fortnite than on these big budget titles. Because honestly, Drix, if you're sitting here and you're thinking to yourself, damn, I really am gonna drop the cash on Battlefield, it's like $100.
Yeah, eventually, if you want all the bells and whistles and skins and guns and the like.
Shit, even if you want like 2 or 3 skins, even if you want a map.
Yeah, if you're paying $70-$80, that's if we round up from there, that's $100.
Yeah, and but here's the thing, and I think this is a very multi-dimensional problem, because we hear a lot of conflicting ideas too, because you've got Wildgate, and Wildgate is a mixed bag. It's only $30, so people can give it a shot, right? It's definitely one of those games where you can be like, hey, you have another friend who's willing to play this with you. Both of you are willing to drop $30. You can drop $30 and another $30 to get a copy for a friend. $60, the price of an old game. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's one of those things where that's a kind of game that has the accessibility, but it isn't getting a ton of traction or bodies. It's doing well, and it's still online, and people still play it, but it's not like the biggest breakout game ever. But I don't think
I'm not making waves.
But I don't think that that's the strategy. I think the strategy definitely is like what Sega and to a lesser extent Capcom have discovered. Capcom is doing it almost in kind of, I would say, a slow motion version though. They release a game with, let's say, a old school AAA budget, but like we've always said, the 3-year Capcom plan. You know, you go on PlayStation Network right now, probably any given point this year, now that I'm thinking about it, Resident Evil 4 and even the DLC for that remake have been like $25-$30.
Oh yeah, so right in your budget title game range.
And it's right there. Monster Hunter Wilds, the Ultimate Edition, is down to $90.
Ooh.
If you wanted to actually get all the bells and whistles with the first season of DLC. So there's a lot. The discount culture definitely is understood by some, and those who do get it do seem to be either rising above or planning these little releases. But here's the thing, Drix. Here's my take. Sega's trying their hand at that, but except instead of pushing one game and franchise, they're going whole hog with Sonic leading the pack of a bunch of retro games, right? Like,
yeah, who better than Sonic?
Yeah, because like, you know, we keep hearing Golden Axe remake. We keep hearing about Jet Set Radio. We keep hearing about Crazy Taxi. We keep hearing about all these games that Sega says they have cooking. And one of this could just be the beginning with Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. But here's we talk about this on the show if you've been listening, because here's the hot take. I think I'm pretty sure Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Extra, especially after like games like Sword of the Sea, they decimate the traditional, like the pixel art, retro inspired adventure romp JRPG pixel shit game. I think Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Extra really just shit all over that.
Yeah, they don't understand, you know, the heart and soul of where games have been coming from and what people actually want to play.
Yeah, and especially since...
And for how long, even.
Especially since, yeah, right, again, if you've been listening to CFM Radio, you know that people, when they're playing Game Pass, just because you have Game Pass doesn't necessarily mean you play more games. So... Yeah,
if you didn't play it for more than 2 hours, you didn't really play it.
You really didn't, honestly. That pretty much isn't completing a tutorial. So, it's one of those things where... I think, though, unfortunately, the effect of that Netflixification of it is that these smaller experiences, like I said, I won't be shy about it, these little pixel shit games and these JRPG knockoffs, these little things that people have like come to really grow really fond of. I think those...
I mean pixel shit as a term of endearment, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's just what they do, you know? It's just a bunch of pixels, you know? Fuck it. A bunch of pixel shit.
Get those pixels into my console, please.
Yeah, but I think Game Pass and that model has made it so you want to expect that you're getting those games for free on that kind of service, right?
Yeah, exactly. The sort of devaluing of games that we reported on previously.
Yeah, and that's just unfortunately one of those like we said, the devaluing of games is pretty brutal in that way. And I just don't think that unless you really pump the industry with some quality retro romps, that no one's gonna buy anything like that anymore if they can't play it if they can't sign up for Amazon Luna and play it, right?
Yeah, exactly. If they can't hit the streaming Blockbuster and give it a go.
Yeah. So that's the problem with this whole indie thing. I think Cromwell on X is right. I think the design by committee, it has to go away, at least for a little while, and you got to start making big swings. And unfortunately, I don't think big swings are in the cards for big publishers.
Yeah. I mean, act your age, or in this case, act like the size of your business or corporate entity.
And I think that is a good thing to get for our next story to jump into right before our break, because we'll make this one a shorter one. Because, Drix, here's the thing. This is Turok, and it got announced, last year at the Game Awards. But
yeah, right.
Here's the thing, Drix. They talked about Turok over at Gamescom and WCCF Tech. They have the headline, quote, Xbox Series X can't run Turok Origins at 60 FPS, says developer.
Oh no. You mean your Series X, can't really keep up, or no, Series S, I should say.
Yeah.
Can't keep up with like the PS5. It's a competitor that's pulling ahead in the race, or has already pulled ahead.
Yeah, I think it's over. I think it's pretty safe to say that there is no race.
It's Jover, dude.
Yeah. Because, and it's for things like this, right? Because here's from the article, quote, during Gamescom 2025 presentation of Turok Origins, Saber Interactive Madrid game director Jesus Iglesias revealed that the upcoming first and third person cooperative shooter will run at 60 frames per second on consoles such as Sony's PlayStation 5 and Xbox and Microsoft's Xbox Series X. When asked about the latter console's smaller sibling, the Series S, Iglesias admitted that the same wouldn't apply there, as the studio simply found no way to make that happen. As such, Xbox Series S will not run Turok Origins at 60 FPS and will run it at 30 frames per second.
Oof. Yeah, definitely a kick in the frame rate there.
Yeah. I mean, and again, people will be like, oh man, Xbox, they're not like dead or anything. Like, they're still like around making stuff. There's going to be a new Xbox, but like, guys, they released a console that is the more popular version of their console this generation. And we have developers. This isn't the only developer. Again, if you've been listening to CFM Radio, you've been hearing these developers say, dude, this Series S shit is ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's they put a few obstacles in the way for the game development on that bad boy.
Yeah, so as the game director said, it was impossible to make it 60 FPS, so we'll see how it might end up looking at 30 on that console.
Yes. Hardware owners beware.
We've got some new releases, Drix, but I think first we gotta take a break.
Yeah, I'm going to bring some joy from Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. This track is called Above the Clouds, which is a version of Butter Building from the NES Kirby's Adventure.
Butter Building, Above the Clouds.
CFM Radio.
CFM Radio will be back.
BRB.
CFM Radio.
CFM Radio. We are back.
We are back, and hope you got your katanas out for that one, since it was in Japanese from Japan. The song is called We Are the Innocent, featuring a vocalist by the name of Mari Sasaki, and that game was called Team Innocent, The Point of No Return, for a obscure little console called the PCFX. I don't know if there's any like PC 98 fans out there, but you could say there was a good amount of like anime girls on those consoles.
Ah, yes, the PCFX, the niche arcade lover's dream.
Yeah, right? I saw the cool opening intro video for that game and had to just go out and grab the song during this week. But yeah, definitely I thought it was an arcade title at first and was like, oh, PCFX, you say.
Right.
A man of culture.
And speaking of cultured takes, we've got some new games.
Oh yeah, always bringing what's new and happening in the game culture to you, our beloved listeners.
Absolutely, because we always want you guys to be on the latest and greatest. Because, listen, we're all here to play games, right?
Oh yeah, big time. Love and passion.
First up, we've got a little game called The Nightling. You're seeing it now on the screen. And from the Steam page, quote, The Nightling is an open world action adventure where you play as an aspiring knight in search of their missing mentor, Sir Lionstone. Equipped with only a legendary shield, you'll brave your way through the lands of Klesia to become an unlikely hero. The Nightling rides onto PC, PS5, and Xbox Series consoles, along with Switch, this Friday, the 29th.
This looks pretty cool.
It does.
I'm getting taken back to like PS2 platformers or PS2 GameCube Xbox generation platformers where it's like, yeah, this guy's got style and a world to run around in and explore, and I gotta love just the dimly lit eyes behind the shadow, like a Final Fantasy Black Mage.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that too. And this game
You got me.
This game absolutely looks super cool, especially when it comes to this is Visions of Mana, but especially when it comes to the exploration in this Nightling game. It looks so awesome.
Yeah, maybe not borrowing too much more from Breath of the Wild than the shield gliding, but that shield does look pretty legendary.
And again, the Nightling releases this Friday for Xbox, PS5, Xbox Series consoles, PS5, PC, and Switch. Next up, we've got...
for everyone, good for you kids.
Yeah, right. Next up, we've got Super Robot Wars. Why?
Yeah, why? Because I love mecha, that's why.
Yeah, that's why. It should be obvious.
Clearly, just giant robots.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to tell it to you straight from the official website. Quote, Super Robot Wars is a grid-based tactical combat RPG that brings units and pilots from a variety of anime together to battle their mutual foes. Rise, unite, and triumph. Super Robot Wars Y releases tomorrow, Thursday, August 28th for PC, PS5, and Nintendo Switch.
Yes, I have not dipped into this franchise yet because most of the older ones you end up downloading are like in Japanese, or you got to find like a fan translation. But yeah, big fan of both tactical RPGs and mecha, and this series really spans like a bunch of different like, animes and mangas and stuff. And Shinji might actually be glad to get in the robot in this one and be like a cool, like stable person. So that's something to witness on its own.
I've got this demo downloaded. I'm going to play it after the show.
Yeah, all the Gundams, all the Mazingers, Mazen Kaisers, you know, blast from the past, good time robot fights. Sounds good to me.
You even got some like kaiju stuff going on sometimes. Sometimes you have like Ultraman piece, you know, like Jet Jaguar and shit.
Oh yeah, he's welcome. I did find a game called Battle Pinball for the Super Nintendo recently that's got Ultraman, Gundam, and who's the other? Kamen Rider. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
They have different pinball fields. It's great.
And finally, the last one we're going to talk about today is one that I've been looking at for a long time. This is Lost Soul Aside.
Ooh, time to set those souls aside.
Yeah, right. From the PlayStation Store, quote, when invading dimensional beings known as Voidrax take the soul of his beloved sister, Kaiser must embark on a dangerous journey to face this terrifying new threat, to save his sibling and liberate humanity. Lost Soul Aside releases Friday, August 29th for PC, PS5, and PS5. And Drix, this game has been through quite a development journey.
Yeah, really. Give me some backstory on this one.
Yeah, originally was supposed to come out for the PS4, went into a, supposed to be a PS5 launch game, went into development hell, and now it's out. It's coming out. It's coming out Friday.
Yeah, finally. So, yeah, I hope there's a good amount of fans waiting for this one. Yeah, I think we might have seen this at like a showcase.
Long time ago.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel that recent, but definitely some Final Fantasy level, like beautiful environments as well as pretty boys wielding magic. So
Yeah,
definitely some
absolutely.
fans out there of that.
And you know what, Drix? This week was packed, or it is packed. So we're going to do a quick run through. Also releasing this week is Shinobi Art of Vengeance on your preferred platform, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch. You also have Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. But you can play it now with the $80 version. And finally, exclusively on Switch 2, we have Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Star Cross Worlds DLC. Drix, that's a remake.
Yeah. Boy, if you missed, I know I missed a few good Kirby titles for like the Wii and 3DS generations, and yeah, that's something I definitely wouldn't mind revisiting with a new HD paint job. But yeah, and if you're a Metal Gear fan, you're already aware of Metal Gear Delta. But if you're a Kojima fan, like I don't know, maybe you'll pick it up, maybe you won't.
Maybe you won't. Yeah, you never know, right?
Yeah, you could just mod a version, or I could always pull out my my collection for like the 360.
And you know what? I'm gonna take this track as my cue to take a quick break before we get into our last story. What do we listen to, Jake?
Yes. I was playing some Bug 2 for the Sega Saturn as the show intro, but I'm revisiting it one more time since I got this new track from Bug 2 TOO exclamation point for the Sega Saturn called Weevil Dead 2.
Weevil Dead 2, CFM Radio.
CFM Radio.
We'll be back.
call us what they want. We don't wolves, so look away. Eyes on the prey that hides. I'm running the circle of time. Undecided, fading inside your elevation. Your heart's a nerve veins, starting action. They can't contain. Kicked down. Some people don't care to get up again, but I won't spend my whole life philosophizing. I just take what's mine. I'm on it. Destiny be damned. You and I, the wolves, are free to run, ignoring all the signs. Jump their lies, crossing over, join together and blind. When I will it be is done on time, and the alpha at the back will hit again. Yeah, I'm alive. I'm running the circle of time. Undecided, fading inside your elevation. Your heart's a nerve veins, starting action. They can't contain anymore. We can't escape. Faded soul in your mind. Do you really know what you want to get out from this? From this hell, you can't escape. Faded soul, they are designed deep in your mind. Running the circle of time. Undecided, fading inside your elevation. Your heart's a nerve veins, starting action. They can't contain. They can't
CFM Radio. Video game news.
CFM Radio, we are back.
We're back, and no, that wasn't Seo Sin, Circus Survivor, any other Anthony Green project. That was from Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, the main theme called Chain Reaction.
Awesome, underrated game. Did super terribly in sales. If you haven't tried it and you like fighting games for the fighting, you should check it out. Definitely a very cool game.
Yeah, my musician friend Captain No Fun from Total Massacre, he's a Tekken guy, but he highly recommends Fatal Fury City of the Wolves as well, as he recently got into it.
Yes, very, very good game if you are someone who already likes fighting games and wants just a little bit more.
Yeah, it's going to be at EVO still, right? That hasn't happened just yet.
It did.
has
It did. It happened. And you know what?
Yeah.
It was one of the like most hype but not talked about, because like when you're watching it, you kind of have to have like an idea of what's going on. But like if you can keep up with it, oh my God, you're like, holy shit, this is insane.
Huh. Yeah, keep up with those cool moves and combos, stunning visuals, and lots of action.
And
So, punches.
and fists are flying all the time. We love watching Evo, love seeing all that stuff, but we have to always be looking at the future, right? And we've been checking it out for a couple weeks now on CFM Radio. Not in a row, but it's been in the zeitgeist. It is the new Virtua Fighter game. And the new Virtua Fighter game, we keep getting little small snippets of info. This trailer that you're seeing is actually from Evo. It's the gameplay trailer that they showcased, and it looks very, very nice. And we've got this article from Restart.Run, and that is, quote, the past, present, and future of Virtua Fighter, an interview with Riichiro Yamada. And he is the producer of the new Virtua Fighter project. And they talked with him about, I'm going to be real, not a lot. This guy was super tight-lipped. These guys didn't get almost anything out of it. Like, at least nothing of, like, mechanical substance, right? Nothing you could really, like, wrap your fighting game brain around, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like that stuff might be, like, subject to change, like Deadlock right now.
Right. But that's not to say that there wasn't some great questions. Like this one. Quote, Restart.Run, it's been nearly 20 years since there was a completely new Virtua Fighter game, and fighting games have changed a lot in that time. What makes a Virtua Fighter game in 2025? And how are you staying true to the series' roots while updating the series for the modern era? Yamada responds, as you mentioned, fighting games have undergone various evolutions. While the fact that there hasn't been a new installment in 20 years could be seen as a drawback, I believe this timing also presents an opportunity for major changes to be accepted by users. That's the idea behind this project. In terms of battles, it's important to preserve what makes Virtua Fighter unique. But when looking at the game as a whole, our goal is to create something that players will recognize as having significantly evolved. And you know what, Drix? As someone who's been checking this out from the very first trailer, I gotta say, this lines up directly with what they said their main goal is, and that goal was innovation.
Ah, yes. I mean, 20 years is a big gap to fill, and while we're all excited, you gotta, give it at least some modern updates. So definitely just can't wait to see the Virtua Fighter spin on that.
There's also another great question in here that is rather illuminating, as opposed to the action that you're seeing on screen right now in the gameplay. From the question is, quote, Virtua Fighter has always been grounded in reality and real martial arts. Fans will often describe the series as similar to watching a martial arts film. How did you approach Virtua Fighter's approach to, fighting this time around? Yamada responds, Virtua Fighter was heavily influenced by the kung fu boom of the 1980s, and for this title, we're continuing with the concept of cinematic realism. It's not a fight like a real fight like an MMA, but it's also not a superhero style fantasy. We're aiming for the kind of cool, convincing movements you'd see in an action movie. That's something we've discussed and agreed on as a team, and I think you can see that in this footage. You could see things like really flashy but decisive movements, and then dodges like that are a hair away, but are perfectly calculated and intentional. Intentional moves.
Yeah, that is something I love to hear. The cinematography of an action movie, especially from a 3D fighting game. I mean, not to mention one of the games that pioneered 3D fighting games.
And here's one of the most interesting. And this kind of goes into what he's saying about keeping the essence, but not being afraid to make a big change. the question is, Virtua Fighter is famously easy to pick up and play, but very difficult to master, and a large part of that is because it only has 3 buttons, punch, kick, and guard. Is this new Virtua Fighter project sticking with that control scheme? How did you approach the balance of being easy to play but difficult to master? Yamada responds, PKG controls are a tradition in Virtua Fighter, but we're not necessarily committed to sticking with them. Since the game will be on consoles rather than in arcades, I believe we should aim for controls that are easy with the gamepad. That said, we're fully aware of the need to support the traditional PKG control system for players who have continued playing over the years. Also, while every game developer strives to create something that's easy to play but deep, it's definitely not an easy task. We're constantly working on improvements and testing to achieve that goal. So, again, clearly hinting at something that, an evolution, a move in a different direction.
Yeah, perhaps, dare I say, a 4th button? Or, at the very least, a, modern control scheme versus classic control scheme.
Exactly, and I think that might be the more, it might be the more streamlined idea, but I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to, like you said, make a 4th button.
Yes, we waited 20 years, we got a 4th button.
We got a 4th button. And here's the thing, so Sarah Bryant is one of my favorite characters in Virtua Fighter, and I thought that I was looking at her right here, but here it is from Restart. Is there anything I haven't asked about that you'd like to speak about, or is there anything in particular the team is excited about that might not be obvious to players? Yes, as mentioned earlier in this interview, I'd like to clarify once again, the character fighting in that scene, the one you're looking at, is Stella, not Sarah. We probably won't be talking about who she is in detail for a little while, but I hope everyone enjoys speculating and looks forward to learning more. So, here we go, Drix. One of these spiritual successor characters, as it were.
Yeah, wow, the offspring, the next generation, or, can't say they're related in any way just yet.
Not yet.
But, yeah, glad they're being, like, real artists and keeping the sense of mystery alive, trying to pique everybody's interest and keep them intrigued. And, not trying to pander too hard to, like, non-fighting game players.
Absolutely, because it's one of those things where they keep trying. Again, this article titled "The Past, Present, and Future of Virtua Fighter," an interview with Riichiro Yamada. They really do try to get gameplay, mechanical elements out of him. Things like asking questions like, fighting games have begun to heavily prioritize accessibility and teaching tools in the last decade, making it easier for new players to pick up this genre or move more fluidly. And then Yamada's like, hey, I can't go into detail about that right now. He says that a lot in this interview.
Yes. When they asked David Lynch if he'd like to explain that, he said no.
Yeah, he said no. And you know what?
No.
It's like you said, Drix. These guys, they're keeping it real. They're keeping it. They're trying to be artists about it, and it's interesting because they really are. It really feels like they really want to break away from the past in a meaningful way, not just like, oh yeah, like, it's Virtua Fighter and like we're doing our own thing, but like it's just Virtua Fighter. Like, it sounds like they really do want to make significant changes. A 4th button would be a big change for this franchise.
Yeah, they have that going for them.
But here's the thing. I think that whatever you get from this interview, the one thing that's clear is that these guys have a vision. They have a vision for what they want, and they might not be able to discuss it in detail and like give you all of the things that they want to give you about it, but they have a solid idea for how they want the game to play. And they say it right here. This ain't gonna be your daddy's Virtua Fighter. Like,
Yeah, nice. No, I'm definitely glad to hear everything that was kind of revealed in the interview, and they have an artistic vision with they're aiming with creative intent. So fighting game fans get hype.
I definitely get hyped because, here's the thing, Drex. A lot of fighting games in their quest to become either the next big thing or to quote unquote advance the genre, you end up realizing that they end up becoming either, and this might sound a little bit harsh, but either masturbatory or self-referential in a lot of ways. Because, I hear a lot that the modern controls, they're kind of like the coolest thing to ever happen to fighting games. But I remember stylish controls in Blaze Blue. I remember easy controls in Marvel vs. Capcom. I remember these other little things that were like the proto versions of these things that we see today. And the one thing that I keep seeing is these established franchises, your Tekkens, your Street Fighters. It's Street Fighter, but it's Tekken, but
even more than it was.
And it ends up, it's Tekken. It's a new Tekken. Is this just like the old Tekken, but like maybe with like a gimmick that like really makes it kind of just explosive, like you said in the interviews? I don't know, dude. It's new Tekken. Looks inside. It's just Tekken, except you get hit like 3 times less. Like
the people want Tekken, we gave them another Tekken.
We gave them another
people want
Tekken.
Street Fighter, we made another Street Fighter.
We made another Street Fighter. And they do make it easier and they make things a little bit more interesting each time, but it is true that no big swings have been taken in the genre in order to preserve, I guess, whatever makes it accessible to us and attractive to us old heads who keep coming back for more. But I'm really looking forward to this one because if they're putting their money where their mouth is, it sounds like it's going to be the game that really pushes us out of this era of fighting games and into a new one.
Yeah, era-defining, iconic icons coming back. That sounds pretty cool because, 20 years is a long wind-up, so
yeah,
probably taking a big swing.
Yeah, I would hope so, at least. After 20 years, man, you better.
Yeah, it better be Shohei Ohtani Showtime.
But I think Showtime, Drix, for us, is done.
Yep, on that Ohtani note.
I thank everybody for joining us. If you've been checking us out, please hit us with a like, hit us with a subscribe, and we will see everybody next week. Drix, I think we got to get out of here.
Yep, time to get gaming. See you next Wednesday, my dudes.